It's the Wolf Media Festival podcast. Today's guests from the film Parallel Lives, actor Jeremiah Court. And now, here's your hosts, Kyle Hollingsworth, Richard Wilmore, and Jacquelynn Wolfheart. But first, a clip from the film Parallel Lives.
I'm safe. I am in a safe place. My past cannot hurt me. I am safe. I am in a safe place. I am in a safe place. My past cannot.
Hello, Samantha. I always knew we were destined to meet again.
No, Danny. You can't be Danny. No, I escaped. I got away from you forever.
Come on, Samantha. You know nothing lasts forever. I'm lucky for you. No. You can run, but you can't hide. I'm coming for you, Samantha, and I can promise we'll meet again real soon.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. We are very excited today for our guest. He is an incredibly talented and has such a variety of interests and accomplishments. I can't wait to have a conversation with him. He actually played 2 roles in the same movie, Parallel Lives. And as our winner, he's here to share a little bit more about himself and the project, and who knows. So welcome, Jeremiah.
Well, hello, thank you.
We need clapping when this happens.
Wow.
Yay!
Thank you very
Crowd
much.
goes wild.
So I have a million questions for you because I was reading about you and you just have so much going on in your
Wow.
life. It's bringing me a big smile because a lot of it is stuff that I find really interesting and amazing. So before we get into that though, I do want to ask you, so how were you able to somehow play these 2 completely different roles in this film?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So in Parallel Lives, as you described, I play 2 completely separate identities. And actually, for the beginning, when I read the script, I actually interpreted it wrong, as in I thought one role was like a psychological made-up character. Later to find out it is an actual human. So I had to change how I perceived and projected myself in each character, which it just completely changed how I prepared for the roles. And it was actually quite difficult, and I loved that it was that difficult because the mindsets were 2 completely things. Playing a psychopath, stalker, that's completely different than a normalish person. So in that particular role, I actually was very I did a lot of method acting, and I on set I creeped a lot of the people out because I was playing the role while they were shooting, and they would find me in the closet by myself, like staring and stuff, and they're like, what is happening? I'm like, and I warned people before, but some people didn't get the clue that I get very much into character, whereas the other character I was able to not creep people out as much. So that was pretty fun. So it was very exciting, and I loved it because James McAvoy in Split was very much inspirational in that, and he is amazing. So to try to even touch a part of his level was so exciting. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it was very, very fun and very difficult. But
It absolutely does. Thank you.
yes.
Can you tell everybody what the film is about?
Yeah, of course. So Parallel Lives, it's hard because it's a little confusing if you don't get the full picture, but it is about 2 separate characters, where Stephanie Curvez plays one and I play the other. It's male and female, and each character has 2 identities, separate identities, but each identity. I apologize. It's a complicated story, and that's what's great about it. One of the identities of my character, Alan, he's in love with one of her identities, Ava, and so they love each other. They're a relationship. And then the other identities, where I play Danny, and she has an unidentified character. She is stalked by Danny, and so it's very, very psychological pull there. However, the characters all intertwine. The psychopath and the good Alan. Alan meets the Stephanie's role where she thinks I'm the psychopath, but I'm not. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's my girlfriend, and that's a whole story as well, because in the story, I lose my girlfriend somehow, but it's unexplained. And so I'm very excited to see her where she's like, stay away from me. So the story is about it's a psychological thriller. There's a lot of turns, and it'll keep you guessing the whole film, and you get to interpret how you want throughout it. It's pretty exciting. Yeah. Sorry, it's very hard to explain. I've tried to explain it probably 100 times in my life, and I just watch the film and then
watch it. It's easier.
Out because it's going to be great.
I'm watching you struggle with that, and I'm thinking it'll be more intriguing to watch after this.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And then to be like, oh, that's what he meant by what
Yes.
I get it now. Yeah.
And it's so difficult, but it's good. It is fantastic. Stephanie, the director, does a fantastic job dissecting the story throughout the whole film. So
were there ever days that you had to film both characters in the same day? And if you did, how did you bounce like that?
I did not actually have to on set. So that was very, very helpful. No.
Easy.
So,
Next question.
Yes. Yep.
I was just going to ask you about your mental health if you had to, because
that's a great question, because a lot of people struggle at some capacity with mental health, and then for actors, some actors will get caught up into the character themselves. I am pretty fortunate that my strength is my mental health, so I'm able to dissect it and keep it to the film, to keep my character to the film. So I'm very blessed to be able to dissect, to keep that separated and segregate each character on film. So I'm fortunate, and I'm content and good. I'm good. So
good.
But at the moment, it wouldn't seem like it. At the moment, you're like, I want to get away from this guy. No thanks. And then the other aspect, Alan, he's actually depressed himself. He's depressed and an alcoholic, dealing with some things himself. So even with that, channeling in situations where I've been able to see, it's sad, and it's but I'm able to keep it separated from my own personal mental health. Yes.
And so the other character, yes, he's deeply depressed. So I'm curious, can you tell us a little bit about, you said you didn't have to shoot both in the same day, and that's great. But so now you're going in today, you're the character who's deeply wounded, who's an alcoholic, who has these struggles. What kind of preparation do you do before you walk on the set that day to kind of not just get and stay into character, but just to kind of, what do you have a ritual or?
Honestly, at first I start every day praying before I get on set, just because that's where it starts for me. So, but after that, I like to be segregated away from the cast a little bit before. I love meeting all the people, cast and crew. It's fantastic, but I do like to segregate myself just to read through the script one more time, even though I don't need to. Typically, I just read through it, and then I try to interpret any last second, any monologue or anything that the director or the audience would expect or want to see, or how I can channel in on their reactions. So I just take 1 second, or it's a couple of minutes to myself. I want to be alone in quiet time right before I get in on the scene. Yeah, so that's typically my ritual for every character I play, whether it's rom-com, drama, psychological. I like to take a second to myself. So yeah.
You brought up method acting. Can you tell everybody your definition of what that is for people who don't know, and then how you use it and what you did to prepare for these roles?
Yeah. So I call method acting. Actually, it's just my little thing, because method acting is becoming the character, not it's doing instead of acting. You're doing it. And the way I've prepared for all my roles as actually doing it. So whether it's, for example, this is kind of a little extreme, but just to be transparent, for this role of Danny, he is a stalker psychopath that clenches onto his victim and doesn't release, and he's creepy. So I actually took it upon myself to get onto a city bus and follow someone there on out for a good 20 minutes. And but that took me into method acting of I am that person for that moment. I didn't know my boundaries and my limits, but in the moment I felt what I would feel as that person, so I was able to feel like this is kind of scary. Like I'm doing this, like this is creepy. Like this is not okay. This is not something you should be doing. And that's how I felt while I was in front of camera. I was like, I made it feel that way because I shouldn't be doing this, but this is what I'm going to do. And I mean, I was holding a knife and everything, which is okay, because you have to separate where your levels of commitment to the character is. But method acting is very commitment to the character. And when I do my roles, as far as Alan though, he's an alcoholic and I actually don't drink. So I didn't drink, but I've been able to surround myself around the environment. And so I was able to pick up off of what people that consume alcohol too much do. And so that's how I tackled that role. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. And I do extreme method acting, but I like it and it works for my characters every time. So yeah. Sorry, it's creepy, but hey, it works. So
yeah. I'm just trying to think of what it would be like to play an alcoholic with no access to what it feels like to be drunk and such. A bit of
I have been drunk in my past, not just limited times. And I've actually, for that particular role, I've been surrounded by alcoholics I'm from Wisconsin. So everyone there drinks quite a bit. So
yeah, we're going to talk about that because I'm also from Wisconsin and a very small
you from
Wisconsin. Yes. I
Yes.
had 34 in my graduating class. I think I read you at 36.
36. Yeah, so you get it.
Well, listen, y'all, I'm from Georgia and our people drink. So
Yeah.
I had the question of, when you were on this particular film, I know every project is unique, but in this scenario, did you find that you were able to bring aspects of your own into these roles, or was it pretty tightly prescribed and was it just directed directly on paper? Was there any improv? Was there any opportunity for you to kind of do more with each role or to tweak it a little bit?
Yeah, the role of Alan was surprisingly I was prepared, but my brother Ben, his name is Ben in real life. He tackles how he prepares for his role completely different, and I did not know this. I met with him. We did some table reads, and he kind of told me a little bit how he does his preparation, but and then I didn't know him and Stephanie had a relationship, so she was like, "Be free with it, be yourself, make it real, make it your own." So every line he said was different every single time. So I'm like, and I've never experienced that. I've been in a handful of films, but I've never experienced such freedom. And I was not freedom. I was not free for my role. And so when he was tackling it, I was like waiting for cues, but he wasn't giving me cues because cues were words. But he had different words every time we did a scene, which it worked. But every scene it got better and better because it let me be more free. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, and I loved it. I loved how he tackled that role, and I learned so much from that particular scenario that he gave me. And I wasn't ready for it. I was like the first time I'm like, I froze up and we had a retake. I mean, we took it a bunch of times just to get all the angles and stuff, but it was really exciting. So that would be the most free I've ever had on any film. I was like the most freedom of being able to bring in my own realism to the character because it was real. He was giving me real lines, and so I was able to react completely to his realism. So that was great. So it would have been helpful to know that it could have been like it was so unstructured, but it was structured.
Mm.
If that makes sense. I wish I was a little more.
Organized chaos.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, and that's what it was. And every time it got better and better. The first time I was like, what did you just say? Like what just happened? But after that, it was fantastic. But yeah,
I just wanted to highlight, we're here to learn about the project and we're also here to learn about you. And I just want to touch on the fact that you're a NICU nurse.
I am. Yes,
That
yeah,
is amazing. I
yeah,
love you for that.
yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Can you just tell me a little bit about, well, I'm mostly curious about that. So I'm interested in how that works in harmony with the acting.
Yeah.
Also, what drew you to that work?
Yeah, so I've always been kind of like a first response kind of guy. Like I've always been tackling like if I see an emergency, I'm always quick to it. So I've done a lot in my life, but it's always led me to like the med field because I don't get squeamish and I'm just quick on my feet. So yeah, so I became a nurse and I did the OR nursing as well, and I loved it, and I love it. I also was in the NICU as well. Yeah, for me the mindset of the NICU. I've worked with adults so much. The NICU is these babies. They just want to live. Like that's they are born and that is what they want. Like adults, we create our habits. And I could go to a patient and be like, "Yeah, you need to cut down on some of that sugar, stop smoking," and they'll be like, "Yeah, we'll see you next week," in the hospital because it's their habit. Whereas the babies don't have the habits, so I'm just trying to give them what they want, and it's beautiful. I'm in called level 4. It's the highest acuity. We take care of babies as early as 22 weeks, and it's a beautiful thing. It's amazing, yeah. And you get to follow them, and sometimes we have some babies that are there for 22 months, and so you get to follow the full path. Yeah, it's beautiful. It really is.
That's beautiful work. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, of course, you're welcome.
Mm.
What do your coworkers think of this other world that you live in?
They especially they just watched Parallel Lives recently, and they just think it's so funny because they're like, you're just so kind and soft with these little babies, and then you're scary. Why are you scary? Like that is, I'm scared of you. So they think it's really cool. They love that there's a different side, and everyone has a passion, and some people get caught up, in their jobs or careers, and if it's not their passion to be there, it's really cool to learn about other people. So they think it's really cool that my passion is acting. Yeah. So, and as well as the NICU. So it's cool that it coincides with each other. And it works perfectly because as a nurse, I do 12, they say 12-hour shifts, but it's 13 to 16 hours. And so I can cluster all my hours in at work there and then have the rest of the time to focus on all my other gigs. So that's great. Yeah, it works quite well, actually. Yeah.
Sounds like you've got it kind of figured out, man.
Yeah. It's organized schedule.
At the intro, I talked about how many different things that you have accomplished and that you're up to, and I just want to highlight those with you really quick. So I read that you have a small business degree.
Yes.
You have a real estate license.
Yeah.
You're licensed in dog grooming and training.
Yep.
You just massage therapy, and you've been a bartender.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Sounds like an actor to me.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So, what better to be able to if there's a role for, oh, you need to be good with dogs. All right. You need to, shake some drinks. All right. So yeah, I think I might have mentioned I was like the living Van Wilder. It's just like college has been kind of life for 10 years. So, but it is good to be done with it. Actually, I'm not done with it. I'm actually continuing education for nursing just further up. But yeah, so yeah, it's really fun. I'm an entrepreneur, and that's part of the small business degree that I have. I have a small business degree and a degree in entrepreneurship. So it just goes hand in hand with it, and I just like to keep it interesting,
And you play bass and sing, right?
Yes.
Hey,
Indeed.
I'm a singer too. Hey.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right on.
I have two questions. Did you have any training for acting? Did you go to school for that, or was that all hands-on? And you have all these degrees and skills, what's one thing that you still want to learn?
Good. So for acting, I have taken, there's Class Act Studios, which is very common down here in Orlando. I've taken a very intro class. I actually didn't get to, with timing purpose. They actually told me not to be an actor because nursing schedule will, if you can't give 150% committing to acting, you won't be successful. And with a career such, they said not to do it, which I'm not discouraged. So that's okay. So I took a class with them, and then I've done theater, and I've done theater classes while I was growing up when I was in high school, and then I also have done stunt double and stunt training for one of the films I did a year and a half ago. So that was about as much of the education I've gotten in training, but that doesn't stop me from my own training that is pretty much daily, whether it's trying to hone in on accents, which I am terrible at, or just trying to see a role that I'm like, wow, that had to have been tough, and then just kind of doing it in my spare room and just playing out the role, just because it's beneficial to me. So that would be the answer to that. As far as what I want to learn yet, everything. It's one of the psychologists that I had a class with. They talked about what an intellectual is, and it's a person that wants to always continue learning, and that's kind of me. And I'm not myself an intellectual by any means, but I do. I just want to continue learning all of it. So uh, it's always like, if my dishwasher breaks, I'm like, I'm gonna fix it. Like I'm gonna figure out how to fix it versus I need to call someone. Uh, yeah. So I just, when I got my first dog is why I became a dog groomer, because I was like, well, this thing, I'm not paying $100 to groom it. And I started grooming it, and then I'm like, oh, I love training this thing, and got into training. So
How did you get rid of your Wisconsin accent? And can you please say the word home for me to see if it's still there?
home,
Home. Yeah. That Wisconsin, like home.
I want to go home. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's funny. Home. I think this low voice, everyone thinks I have a cold, but I don't. It's a little raspy. I haven't smoked my whole life either. It's just what it is. So I think that actually dilutes the accent. The word that people will call me on if I'm like, I need a bag from the grocery store. So a bag. And then, yeah, so balance. They say those words. But other than that, I think that's where, like, I don't know, it's just gone. So I don't. I think it's the voice, but yes, it comes out sometimes. Just especially when I'm around other people in Wisconsin, I'm like, oh boy,
Yes. Oh boy, is what
yeah,
he said.
oh boy,
Oh boy.
oofta, oofta is I don't know. That's a
Oofta.
word that stuck to. So yeah, and you said you're from Wisconsin. What part?
Northern Wisconsin, like Ashland. Do you know where that is?
Yep, I'm below that in Oliva Strom, Eau Claire,
Mhm.
La Crosse.
Yeah.
So, and my dad is in Rice Lake, which is kind of
Oh,
near
nice.
you. Yeah, so that's funny.
Do you get to go back often?
I do. I go back. Everyone's still there, so I go back like once or twice a year. And yeah, I actually went with my girlfriend. We went to Wisconsin, and we did all the northern like peninsula of it in Door County, Green Bay. I've never done that my whole life. I haven't done that, and it was so beautiful. Like I was surprised on how much beauty I missed living and growing up there. It was so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've never been
Great
out.
place to visit. It's a great place to visit and a great place
Yes.
to leave. What was my other question? Growing up in a small town, what was it like to be the kind of creative kid in a small town like that? You said you did theater growing up, so at least you had access to it. But what was that?
It's funny because stereotypically you'd be like, oh, there's the jock group, and then there's like the artists, and it's like our school is so small, we all did all of it. Like, so actually we didn't. I mean, we had the groups. Like I would have been perceived as like, the jockish group, but like our quarterback was like the lead performer in our theater, so it was like it just meshed. Everyone was in choir, or not, not everyone, but like we all were in sports and choir. We did all the things. We're all farmers, like, so there wasn't much diversity. I mean, there were groups, but just we all partook in it. So
A lot of overlap, it sounds like. I love that.
yeah.
A quick question for you now, and I could talk to you all day, but if we can't, I do want to just ask you, what more would you like us to know? Where can we find you? Where can people learn more about you and your work?
I'm a pretty quiet guy. Like I'm pretty hidden. Uh, that's a good question.
Nowhere is the answer. Nowhere. Don't look for him.
That's a good question. I am on social media. I am trying my best to get better at Instagram. Technology and staying relevant, platforms are changing because I'm still stuck on like Facebook, but I realize acting is a lot of Instagram and stuff. So and this might be embarrassing, but my handle at Instagram is Jeremiah Court 24. But yes, and it is pretty bare, but like it's getting there, and I'm improving. I'm trying. So that is definitely where I try to post most of my acting stuff, and I need to take a day and just put it all out there. And then for Facebook, it's Facebook.com/Jeremiah.Court. And again, I need to stay a little bit more relevant with that as well. But I try to be in person and meet face to face because that's where I grow. That's my community, is face to face. I try to remember faces and names. But in real life, technology and platforms are kind of key in our industry. So yeah, I need to get a little bit better. Yeah. Thanks for calling me out.
Sorry.
Now this is your challenge. Now you have to, because people will be coming to you. What are you working on now? Anything?
So I am, I'm currently not struggling, but I'm trying to balance, commercial with film, because I love film. My heart is in film, and I want to do features and small films and indie films. I love that. Commercials are great and they're fun and it's great exposure and it pays. So, and the indie films and the small films, they pay most of the time. Like I put a goal out a year ago, like as of 2023, I wasn't going to do anything unpaid anymore, like, because I've already built a portfolio. And it's not that I'm too good or anything. It's just like I'm trying to better myself, and I'll definitely take gigs if they're not paid, if they're right for me, and I still look for them. But so right now I'm working on commercial stuff. I have a couple commercials coming in. Funny enough, I have a dog training device commercial coming up and a Publix shoot coming up very soon. So that's it as far as my acting. I am auditioning for some more of the Orlando Independent Film Festival things. So I've auditioned a couple times recently, the last 3 days, put in about 6 auditions. So hopefully I can come on here in a couple of months and tell you how those films go. Maybe with a couple more nominations,
Yes. Or come to the festival in April and we'll see you in person like you like.
I would love that. Yes, that would be great. That would be fantastic. Yes, that would be fantastic. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah. Jeremiah, you're such a pleasure to talk to. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know. We may have thrown that out there, and Jacquelynn's like, no, not, he doesn't get to come, but we don't know.
Yeah. No,
we just host this thing. We don't know what we're doing.
Like, he doesn't drink. He's from Wisconsin. There's something wrong. There's something. Yeah. Speaking of which, do you drink?
A little bit.
Yeah, I do.
So you said Georgia, you guys drink. But Wisconsin, a little bit. That's why we got kicked out. It's just a little bit, right?
Yes.
We got kicked out.
We weren't allowed there. Yes, we were not. We were too sober.
Yes.
We got kicked out. Yes. I'm also vegan, so no cheese, no.
I'm out.
Meat. No, yeah. They don't really like me. They don't like me in Wisconsin.
Yeah, seriously. That's awesome.
Oh, well, we're going to close out, I think, and I'm so grateful for your time today. This has been really fun. I'm smiling a lot.
I really appreciate being here. And when Stephanie invited me to try to get in touch with you guys, I was very excited and more than eager. And I did dread the question of how to explain parallel lives, and it is such a beautiful, confusing film. It's like it's the one that you have to watch twice, right? And that's what I love doing that. Like a film that you have to watch twice to understand it. That's like that's golden ticket for me. So again, I really appreciate you guys taking your time out of your day to interview me and get me out here and exposed. And I hope to see you come April.
Yeah, we
All
hope so.
right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
We'll be right back.
Richard, are you excited that we're doing the festival at the Hilton?
Beyond, not just for the festival, but that we're doing everything at the Hilton. We're staying there. The festival's there. I'm going to go to the bar there. I'm going to have breakfast there. It's like one-stop shop.
Yay! It's actually the Hilton Melbourne we're staying in, I think.
I'm very excited.
And guests can also stay there too.
They sure can. They can call. You have to call. The number's down below. And then you use the guest code Wolfheart to unlock exclusive savings for that weekend.
Fantastic. I can't wait to see everybody there.
It'll be fun. See you soon.
Check the links below or call 321-768-0200 and use code Wolfheart when booking to unlock exclusive deals for our festival guests.
Wow, that was so cool. I love his explanation of the film because it is so hard to describe what this film is. If people want to go back to when Stephanie was I think she was episode 2 of our podcast, and she interviewed with Richard, she talks about the whole film as where what was submitted was just the proof of concept film. So we got 11 minutes of what she's talking about as the whole film. But I like his description of not knowing how to describe it. It was very fitting.
I don't remember. Is there a place that people can watch it? Or
No, not yet. I think
top secret.
right now, if I remember right, what Stephanie had said and what I'm seeing happening is she's putting it through festivals so that they can get the funding to make the full film. And so they don't want the public to see it yet. They just want investors to see it for now. If I'm remembering right, I don't want to put words in her.
He was very delightful. I that was an easy and fun interview. So I love that. Very easy to talk to.
It was great. I love that he emailed us ahead of time. He made it very easy.
Oh, that helps.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Everybody, future guests.
future guests.
When I email you, please email us back with the information.
It's super helpful to know what you'd like to talk about.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, that's so I didn't realize, I must have skipped over or something, but I didn't realize he was from near where you're from, Richard, and you also don't have an accent. So
I try very hard not to, but as soon as the phone rings and it's my younger brother, instant Wisconsin accent.
I want to hear just what that sounds like. Just give me a little bit.
Sometimes it feels like you. I don't even know. And then I go into like my mom. My mom has all my family has a really thick Wisconsin accent, and all my friends, they're from Minnesota, Wisconsin, so they've all got that like nasally.
That really makes me feel like I have to stretch my
It's like half Canadian, half Roseanne Connor. Like that's what we say.
Bobby's World. That's what comes to mind is Bobby's mom from
Yes.
Bobby's World. Don't you know that all the time?
When my sister calls me from Boone, North Carolina, this is how we're talking. I just can't help it. My husband looks at me. He goes, "You're talking to Jeannie, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I just can't help it. It's fun.
What of it?
Sometimes you got to lean into it, you know.
That's so cute. I'm boring. I just have this, whatever this
You have a
is.
lovely voice.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
But anyways, let's have all our listeners just follow us and listen and keep listening. We're doing awesome on our numbers, and I want to see that keep going up.
Yeah.
Share it with your friends.
Rate,
I don't know.
Share.
Yes, all those things. My hosts are beautiful. Show them some love.
Yay.
And
Buy us
peace
a
out.
coffee.
Love
Yeah,
you.
Bye,
buy
everyone.
them some coffee, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Wolf Media Festival Podcast with Kyle Hollingsworth, Richard Wilmore, and Jacquelynn Wolfheart. Produced and edited by me. I'm Jacquelynn Wolfheart. Don't forget to check out the links in the description to find ways you can connect with our guests. Thanks for checking us out today and tuning in every week wherever you get your podcast.